Today in Trump's America, small town farms in Arkansas are begging for welfare. They can't sell their soybeans to China. Who knew that so many farmers were making $10,000 an acre from China? Who knew? But instead of pulling up their bootstraps, they're going for welfare. They're going for subsidies. They're going for American handouts. Just mere months after saying, we don't support welfare programs, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut everything to these LGBTQIARSTUV people. Pull up your bootstraps, Arkansas. Sell something Americans want to buy. Talk to your man Donnie Darko about the Department of War, because hell, they might be coming to your town soon. He might be bringing the National Guard to Arkansas and you won't have any farmland left anyway. Look, folks, Donnie Darko is destroying America, and if you can't see it, it's a part of the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. Go look it up. It's a blueprint. Donnie Darko is following it to a T.
On today's episode of Fuck Around and Find Out for MAGA, Arkansas. The farmers in Arkansas are now crying and whining, begging and pleading their state representative for help because the votes that they put in for the big beautiful bill has now come back to bite them in the ass, and they don't know what to do.
It's always good to think before you leap, because everything that you do, either good or bad, has consequences. Farmers in Arkansas are going bankrupt because they voted against their best interests. They have no market for their soybeans because of Trump tariffs and trade wars. And this is something that they could avoid, because Project 2025 was everywhere, but they never took their time to go through it. Democrats and black people want them against, voting for this orange guy. But because of racism, because of hatred, they went ahead and voted for him. Now, they are regretting their votes. They are reaping what they sow. Yeah, so guys, let's get to the rest of the video. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting, representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027, late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently, around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business. You already know that I always come with the evidence. I always have the clip, so stay tuned for the clip provided by ABC7.
The government steps in to save them. Farmers had no one to turn to but God.
Farmers are lying. It's all they're closer to daily needs on this earth because we deal with your earth every day. We're hurting you. We can't deal with what's happening to us.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, had you just listened to those same marginalized groups, if you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on, because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
So the farmers in Arkansas are quite literally begging the government for money.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer.
In case you didn't know, Trump put a tariff on all fertilizer, seed, and other things that farmers need. And a lot of these farmers were part of the USAID. The USAID contracted these farmers to make things like soybeans and rice. But now Trump slashed almost all of the USAID, and it is leaving farmers going bankrupt. Because God forbid we send food to foreign countries, and now those farmers are out of a job. Most of these farmers voted for this, and now they are asking for government handouts. When Trump said he was going to defund all of these programs, also implement all of these tariffs, did you really think that you would not be affected by all of this? Are you that gullible?
It's Joe from Georgia. So another state is in the news about collapsing their farming industry, and it's the great state of Arkansas. They held meetings in Arkansas this week with the farmers because of the dire situations that they are in. Because, folks, they're not being able to sell their products. They have money in the ground, but they can't get any money out because the United States government, which had guaranteed them certain things, were lost in the big, beautiful bill. Well, in these meetings, it has been said that if an emergency bailout, which is what the farmers are asking for, folks, they're asking for a bailout in Arkansas, that 1/3 of them will file bankruptcy. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into bankruptcy. So you're going to have these people who generational wealth will be totally wiped off the map in the state of Arkansas. But here we go again. Another state that overwhelmingly supported the president in his race. And believe it or not, there are still 70% of those farmers will say they believe in the tariffs that are putting them into bankruptcy. Folks, when those type of things are happening in your life, you've got to ask yourself, would I have thought this way 10 years ago? And I'm going to say pretty easy, the answer is no. You're not going to worship the thing that's bankrupting you.
So I saw that the soybean farmers in the state of Arkansas are having a find out phase. And you know what I hate to say? I told you so. No, seriously, I'm really sick and tired of the fact that the left keeps having to say, I told you so, because we didn't want anybody to suffer, okay? We voted for everybody to survive and thrive, and you voted for the suffering of other people, and here we are. You are actually the one who is paying the price and suffering, because you can't sell your soybeans to China because what's that? Tariffs. You can't get that new farming equipment that you needed because of why? Tariffs. Didn't the experts tell you that? Didn't people warn you this would happen? But no, you let your internalized hate, racism, and misogyny override literal facts that were right there in front of your face that made you vote against your own best interests. And here you are, expecting a government bailout yet again. You didn't want anybody else to get government bailouts. That's socialism, and you don't like that. So what makes you so different and so deserving when you voted against government money going to anybody who has stumbled upon a hard time? Why do you get it? What makes you better than other people? Again, I don't like that we are having to say, I told you so. Okay, I wanted you to do well. I wanted you to survive and thrive. But this is what you voted for.
So just a couple days ago, it was reported by several news stations, especially, ABC, NBC, all of them, that the farmers they came together and was like, look, shit not working out. Not only are the prices soaring entirely too high, but ever since for all of 2025 and practically half of 2024, farming ain't been the same. Like it's been shit. They haven't been able to make much of a profit, and even worse, they've been barely breaking even, baby, barely. But mind you, while the article itself does go deep into the issues that are happening in Arkansas, some of the issues could have been prevented, some of them couldn't have, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. There's been several storms in 2025. The most major one was the recent one that they had that destroyed well over 250,000 of the crops, right? So boom, had you voted accurately, those subsidiaries that were supposed to protect you in case this inclement weather shit happened, or if FEMA or anybody else that's supposed to be representing the farmers because it's a $1 billion industry, would have already been in place. So basically, they get up on the mic and they like, yeah, me, my son, my dad, and my daddy's dad, and my peepaw, my great granddaddy. I come from 6 generations of farming, and we are all about to lose our farms. Yeah, because that's what you voted for. You voted for someone who destroyed the tariffs. Then who literally went to tariff wars with the same people that manufacture the equipment that you buy for the low ski. Yeah, you voted for that man who went to tariff war with the person who builds, creates, manufactures, puts it together, ships it over, all for a fraction of the price of the equipment that you would be getting made on American soil that is just eventually going to break the fuck down. You voted for that guy. Then you voted for the hands that help ensure that y'all are able to get the crops up and that you're able to manage said crops no matter come rain, hail, sleet, or snow. They out there and they getting it done. Then if that ain't worse, y'all also was loud and proud about your support of the big, beautiful bill. Even after y'all saw the shit that he had did to y'all initially. And that he wasn't actually going to fulfill any of the promises that he had made. Baby, you voted for this. Then they said, well, what happened to the subsidiaries that's supposed to protect all the farmers? They said, oh yeah, the money isn't the issue. The state told them farmers, looked them dead in their face and said, the money isn't the issue. The money is there. They said, well, why can't we get relief? Why can't we get help? But they said because the access to the money ain't supposed to be until 2026. I'm sorry. You voted for the money to be accessed in 2026, not 2025. So you got to figure it out. You're going to have to find a way to make it enough. I don't know what to tell you, but I can't give it to you until 2026. Sorry. I swear to God, I got the article. Y'all want to see? Hundreds of struggling farmers ask federal government to save them. You mean the same federal government that y'all voted for? That did this to y'all? that put in a safety net, but unfortunately you don't have the access code quite yet. They said access denied. Sorry. As you can see in this article, it says here almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas's farmers went wrong this year, leaving many facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. Well. Damn, Ancestors is working overtime right now. Not the generational wealth being at stake. And the best part about it is you did this. You voted for this. You voted for your generational wealth. You telling us about your son and how he's supposed to be 7th generation. You voted for it, baby. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation, baby. They said it, nothing we can do about it. I'm so sorry. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices means there's little hope of breaking even as input costs soar because of inflation and tariffs. Read it in motherfucking week. The consequences of your own actions. Yours. Nobody else's with yours. All you had to do was read it in motherfucking week. All you had to do was read. Pay it to comprehend. And they set y'all asses up. The party you voted for sets you up for failure. Promised you the world and delivered nothing but a hole in the motherfucking penny. Then that man had the audacity to get up in front of the whole world in the Oval Office and hold up a bunch of graphs to prove to the investors, the international investors, that America's economy actually is flourishing and it's on the up and up. The graphs he used was the rising amounts of unemployment and inflation annually. And they made sure the font was too small for anybody to read it. Or somebody zoomed in on it. That was the inflation rates. That was also the rates of unemployment. It was a cross comparative analyzation of the inflation rates and it being linked to the unemployment rates. So yeah. I don't know what else to say. Like, sorry to those men. Sorry to those families. Like, better luck next vote. You got 3 more years of this. We're not even through the first year. We told you. We begged y'all not to do this to yourselves. And you did it anyways. First it was, oh, maybe we should not have voted for immigration. Your fucking thing. Now, not only do you not have anyone who's going to manage those fields the way that they were managed before, but you also can't even break even because the costs are continuously rising due to tariffs and inflation. And you voted for it. Chill.
Listen to me. Racism is the poison in Arkansas soil. That's right, racism. Last week, hundreds of Arkansas farmers stood in a room and broke down in prayer in front of their elected officials. They weren't praying for rain, guys. They weren't praying for sunshine. They weren't even praying for a bumper crop. They were praying because their farms, their family land, their way of life is collapsing under tariffs and trade wars. And here's the truth. Those tariffs, that trade war, that whole playbook was born out of racism. Farmers were told the story that punishing foreigners would make America strong again. They were told to clap when leaders wagged their finger at China, Mexico, or whoever else they decided was the villain of the week. They were told it was patriotism, but really it was racism dressed up in red, white, and blue, and farmers bought it. They cheered it. They co-signed it. And now they are the ones paying the bill. Look at soybeans. Without tariffs, U.S. beans leaving New Orleans are cheaper than Brazil. But with tariffs, suddenly Brazil is winning. And who did that? Not God, not nature, not fate. Your own leaders waving a racist flag and calling it strength. And the farmers who clapped for it are now on their knees begging for help. This isn't the first time. History is packed with proof that racism bankrupts the very people it fuels. Jim Crow didn't just brutalize black citizens. It strangled the Southern economy for generations. Segregation didn't just rob black kids of opportunity. It robbed the entire South of progress, creativity, and prosperity. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1880s, it cut off immigrant labor that helped build America, leaving industries starved. Japanese internment during World War II, well, that destroyed businesses, farms, and families, and the whole economy bore the cost. Every single time America lets racism drive policy, the poison spreads. It never just hits the target. It always circles back. And now here we are again. Farmers in Arkansas prayed out loud last week because they're broke. And they know it. And some of them voted for this mess. Some of them cheered when the tariffs went into place because they thought it would put others in their place. But you can't hate and expect to harvest prosperity. You cannot poison your neighbor's well without eventually drinking from it yourself. So let's call this what it is. Racism is the poison in your soil. It's why your crops can't compete. It's why your barns are empty. It's why you bowed your head in front of men in suits who don't care about you at all beyond your vote. Racism doesn't just starve the people you think are your enemies. It starves you. Arkansas, this is your wake-up call. You can pray all you want, but you have to face the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. Racism isn't strength, it's weakness. It's not power, it's poison. It's killing your farms, your family, and your future. Please wake up.
I tell you what, if the federal government caves in and gives these whining white farmers in Arkansas and all over the country welfare checks that they are crying and begging for because they are dealing with the consequences of their vote, that I hope that the National Black Farmers Association gets together and files a class action lawsuit against the government, just like those white farmers did in 2021 in order to block stimulus aid to black farmers. They sure did. They filed a lawsuit in 2021, white farmers, including those in Arkansas, to bar the federal government from giving a $4 billion stimulus package to black farmers and farmers of color because they felt it was reverse discrimination and it was unconstitutional. Well, if the federal government turns around and gives them money, then yes, National Black Farmers Association, please get together and file the biggest lawsuit that you can against the federal government. I've tagged John Boyd, who is the founder of the National Black Farmers Association, in this video. You all please go follow him, learn more about the National Black Farmers Association and how you can help them fight for economic justice for our black farmers. Thanks, y'all.
Yes, so farmers in Arkansas are facing the consequences of their actions. They are going bankrupt because they voted against their best interests. And funny enough is that they are asking for welfare from the government. And remember, they are among the people that supported for the slashing of the welfare. This because they thought that other groups, other races of people, especially their black people, depend on welfare for their survival. And that's why they supported for the slashing of the welfare and Medicaid, Medicare, all those programs. And now it is funny to see them asking for the same welfare that they supported, that so that can be slashed. Apart from that, they also voted for the deportation of undocumented immigrants. And I'm not quite sure where they get their workforce from, but most likely it's from the illegal immigrants. And remember, those undocumented immigrants are no longer showing up in their place of work, be it farms, be it in factories, be it in sites, working sites. They are no longer showing up because they interfere that they are going to be detained. Others have already been detained. They are in detention centers, and others have been deported. So if it happens that they actually depend on the illegal immigrants to work on their farms, I'm pretty sure that they are going shortage of labor. So I'd like to know, tell me in the comment section, I'm not quite sure about it, but tell me whether these farmers in Arkansas depend on undocumented farmers, undocumented immigrants to work on their farms, like the Nebraska farmers that, yeah, we talked about just the other day. Now, these farmers in Arkansas are very funny because imagine facing the consequences of something that people warned you. Democrats warned them, black people warned them, but because of racism, hatred, they voted for the orange guy. They never took their time to go through Project 25, something that was there. And, guys, sometimes it's always good to learn from your mistakes. Sometimes it's always good to learn from the mistakes of other people, because I don't know why this is happening, because people are saying that even if the government helps these farmers in Arkansas, they'll never learn. They'll never learn, and they would still repeat the same mistake, because they are no longer voting for the policies. They are voting because of hatred. They are voting because of racism. They are voting because of, anything that they know is gonna harm another community, another people apart from the white people. Yeah, so guys, these Arkansas farmers are going bankrupt, and they are begging for welfare from the government. They are begging for help from organizations that, are willing to help them. Yeah, I'd like to know what are your thoughts and opinions about this down in the comment section. And until the next episode, for now, goodbye.